There is a version of financial advice that comes from spreadsheets and projections and Monte Carlo simulations, and then there is a version that comes from people who have actually lived it. People in their 70s and 80s who have 30, 40 years of retirement experience behind them and can tell you with the clarity that only hindsight provides exactly what they wish they had done differently. This video is the second kind. We looked at the most consistent patterns in what retirees say they regret, not what financial advisors think they should regret, what the people themselves looking back from their 70s and 80s say cost them the most. Some of these will surprise you, some won't. All of them are worth hearing before you make the same mistakes. Regret number 1, waiting too long to take retirement seriously. This is the most common one by a significant margin, and what makes it interesting is that it's almost never about never saving at all. Most people saved something. The regret is about urgency, about the decade or more they spent treating retirement as a distant problem, while the most powerful years of compounding quietly slipped by. The math behind this is brutal in its simplicity. Money invested in your 30s has decades to grow. The same money invested in your 50s has a fraction of the time. Someone who invested $500 a month starting at 30 and earned a modest 7% annually would have around $1.2 million by 65. Someone who started the same habit at 45 would have around $300,000. Same discipline, same monthly amount, a $900,000 difference from starting 15 years later. The regret isn't about the money people spend in their 30s and 40s. It's about not understanding deeply enough what that spending was actually costing them in the future. Regret number 2, letting lifestyle creep go unchecked. Every time income went up, spending went up too. A better car, a bigger house, more vacations. Each individual decision felt reasonable at the time. The problem wasn't any single choice, it was the pattern. By the time people in this group reached their late 50s, they had built a lifestyle their savings couldn't sustain indefinitely. The frustrating part is that lifestyle creep is almost invisible while it's happening. It doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like success. You earned more, so you spent more. That's what you were supposed to do. What the people who avoided this regret did differently is simple to describe and genuinely hard to execute. Every time their income increased, they increased their savings rate first and let lifestyle follow later, if at all. They treated raises as retirement contributions before they became spending habits. That gap between earning and spending, widened deliberately and protected consistently, is where most retirement wealth actually comes from. Regret number 3, being too conservative with investments for too long. This one surprises people. The assumption is that the biggest investment mistakes retirees regret are taking too much risk. In reality, for a large number of people, the regret runs in the opposite direction. Keeping savings in low-yield accounts, savings accounts, CDs, conservative bond funds, feels safe, and in the short term it is. But over a 20 or 30-year period, the silent erosion of inflation on a conservative portfolio is just as damaging as a market crash, just slower and quieter. The stock market has returned roughly 7% annually after inflation over long periods of time. Someone who kept their savings in a savings account earning 1 or 2% watched their purchasing power shrink every year while they thought they were being responsible. By the time they realized what had happened, decades had passed and the opportunity to recover was gone. The fear of market crashes is not irrational, but the solution is a sensible, diversified approach that includes growth assets, not avoidance of them entirely. Regret number 4, never having honest money conversations with a partner. This one is less about math and more about the cost of silence. Couples who spent decades avoiding real conversations about money, what they each assumed retirement would look like, how much they thought they had, what they planned to spend, often arrived at retirement to discover they had been operating from completely different assumptions for years. The result wasn't always financial disaster, but it was almost always unnecessary anxiety, conflict, and adjustment that could have been avoided with a few uncomfortable conversations earlier. The couples who got this right didn't have perfect financial alignment. They just talked about it honestly and regularly enough that retirement didn't come as a surprise to either of them. Regret number 5, perpetual deferral, always putting financial decisions off until later. The will that never got written, the life insurance that was always going to be reviewed next year, the retirement accounts that were never consolidated, the investment allocation that was never actually understood or adjusted. Financial avoidance is not neutral. Every year of inaction has a real cost in missed returns, in unnecessary fees, in decisions made by default rather than by choice. The people who carry this regret describe a strange phenomenon. They were capable, they were intelligent, they simply never made these tasks a priority until it was too late to fully fix them. The activation energy required to go from intending to do something to actually doing it is small. The cost of never crossing that gap, compounded over decades, is not. None of these regrets are terminal at any age. A decade of focused financial behavior can change a trajectory significantly, even starting late, but the window to act on most of them narrows every year. The people sharing these regrets aren't telling you what went wrong in their lives to make you feel better about yours. They're telling you because the information arrived too late to help them, and they'd rather it didn't arrive too late for you. We'll see you in the next one.